Alrighty, everybody. Good evening or good morning, I guess. It is really early here in the morning. But I hope everyone is doing fantastic here. We're going to get ready to do some coverage on Melissa. Because believe it or not, Melissa's still being a bit of a beast here. But anyways, folks, good to see you. What's up, Ponderosa? Good morning to ya. So we're still tracking Melissa. Right now, it is a Category 1 storm, kind of an upper level Cat 1. We're sustaining about 90-mile-an-hour winds here. The pressure is down to 973 millibars. So the pressure has definitely gone up a little bit. So here's the thing. So Bermuda's getting impacted right now by a lot of these winds. Yeah, the winds is what's really kind of impacting Bermuda. They're also getting some pretty rough seas out there right now. And there's been reports, and I got this from the Hurricane Center themselves. Here, let me actually show you guys what we're talking about here. Apparently, in Bermuda, look at this. Hurricane force wind gusts reported on Bermuda as Melissa makes its closest approach to the island here. So it's at its kind of closest approach right now, which is why we're doing our coverage here for them. We'll see if we can pull up some cameras and stuff like that here in a minute. But yeah, I mean, we're talking 90 sustained, pressure down to 973 millibars, and the storm is moving so fast. Look at it. Storm is moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. That is ridiculously fast for tropical cyclones. The storm before it went through Jamaica and stuff, it was only moving at 2 miles an hour, and now it's moving at 40 miles per hour to the northeast, which is just absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, I figured I'd share that with you guys here. Looking right now at the current estimated winds, you can see, Bermuda is going to be outside of the main hurricane force winds. You can see the hurricane strength wind field's pretty large here in the red, you guys can see. Then we have the tropical storm force wind field here, extends out. And yeah, Bermuda's still in that. This was as of 2 a.m., so this literally just came out here not too long ago. So this is its current position here. But yeah, I mean, they've actually reported some gusts upwards to hurricane force, in which they're definitely getting impacted. Now, unfortunately, down in time, there's going to be even more impacts here, as the system is going to be getting pretty close to eastern Newfoundland here. So we're going to have to look out for there, as impacts are going to actually be pretty great. We're going to be seeing some, likely some strong winds, some rough seas, and all kinds of mess out there as well. So we'll also do some coverage for them. At this point in time, like we said, the system is just, it's moving. It's definitely picked up a lot of strength, and honestly, it really doesn't even look like a hurricane anymore at this point. You guys can see. But let me tell you, that wind field, that hurricane force winds, they are still there. In which, like I said, right now we're sustaining about 90-mile-an-hour winds here, moving northeast at 40 miles per hour, and pressure is down to 973 millibars here. So let me actually bring you guys over here. We're going to take a look at, see if we have any hurricane hunters, which we do. We actually do have, or we did have a mission here from the hurricane hunters that flew in a little bit ago. Matter of fact, it looks like, so they did 2 dropsons here. So these are these little probes that they drop into the storm here to measure, information like pressure, wind speed, wind direction, temperature, humidity, dew point, all these very useful measurements. They drop these little probes down into once the hurricane hunters fly into it. And they actually did 2 of them. And they measured the pressure down to 977 the first time, and then the second time they measured 973, which you can see the Hurricane Center kept that 973 as the latest information here on that storm here, which that's kind of what we're currently at here pressure-wise. So anyway, so that's that. So we did have some Hurricane Hunter missions, actually 2 of them. It looks like we don't have any that are active right now, which we'll definitely keep on watching, to see if they actually end up sending some more planes out there, honestly. They've already done 32 missions into Melissa at this point in time. You can see Air Force mission 304, mission number 32. So they've definitely flown in the storm here quite a bit here overall. What's up, Mark? Good to see you, my friend. Say an underrated channel. I appreciate it, dude. Thank you for your support, man. It's greatly appreciated. So, all right, so hopping back over here, like I said, it doesn't look like much on satellite imagery, but once again, it is definitely, still really kicking out them winds here. Let's see if we can find some Bermuda cameras here. I used to have a bunch. See if I can find them, because they are likely getting hit pretty hard right now. I think I found it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. Well, you really can't see much in the camera here. So this is out here in Port Bermuda. I don't know exactly where that's at, to be honest. Okay. Oh, I think we lost data on it. Whoops. Well, that's not good. I don't know if that just happened or if that's... Here, let me see if I can find another one. See if we can't find some more live cameras for y'all out here in Bermuda. It's definitely, like I said, they're kind of at their worst approach right now. Yeah, like I said, that one you couldn't really see what was going on here. Maybe this one? I think I might have found another one here. Yeah, there's another cam, but you just can't see it. It's just too dark. Like, here it is. I mean, literally all you can see out of this is just a little red dot that approaches every once in a while. It's just completely covered, unfortunately. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot we can look at right now. I mean, maybe we'll check again in there in a little bit and see if that one camera came back on or whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely not really too visible out there right now. What's up, Big Juan? Good to see you saying at least it's not a major hurricane. She got weaker. Well, yeah, I mean, definitely it's good that it's not. But here's the thing is that even Cat 1s can still cause significant problems, And, like we mentioned here recently from the Hurricane Center, they actually just came through with that 2 a.m. update. Look what they said. They said that hurricane force wind gusts have been reported in Bermuda as Melissa works its closest approach to the island. So, I mean, they're definitely experiencing some strong winds here. Now, the storm right now, like we mentioned, is sustaining 90 miles an hour. So that's the strongest winds towards the core of the storm. We're likely gusting higher, probably to right around 100, 110 or so. And the central pressure is down to 973 millibars, which has dramatically increased over the last few days as the system, kind of rolled through some of these areas of land like Cuba, obviously Jamaica, the Bahamas even, really has allowed the storm to weaken quite a bit. And it just didn't really have enough time to re-strengthen because, we got a lot of wind shear. So a lot of strong winds pushing against the storm that's not a part of the system, which kind of caused the system to disrupt its structure a bit, pick up forward movement, in which the system has just kind of fallen apart here. But still, like I said, it's still packing a punch here. It is still a hurricane, barely, but it is still kind of an upper level category 1 here as of right now. Let's see here. Remember Newfoundland? I don't know. I did not look it up. I'm still gonna call it Newfoundland. I don't know. But it's good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, so that's the sat view here. Let me see if I can bring up a better satellite. We do have that mesoscale floater we can probably bring up. I wonder if they still have it. It doesn't even look like a hurricane, but yeah, we still do have it. Here's that mesoscale floater. It's just, like I said, it's really falling apart. It doesn't look like it used to. Here, let me see if we can't. Oh, that's wrong view. Here, let me. Oh no. Wait, how do I? Oops, that's not the right scene. How did I do this last time? I guess I'm just gonna have to bring it over here and show you guys here. So yeah, this is our high-res sat view. We'll do our. Oh, that's pretty spooky. Look at that. Oh, by the way, happy Halloween, y'all. I didn't say that. It's officially Halloween now. But yeah, look. That's the that's the latest on it. It doesn't even really look like anything right now. It definitely does not look like a hurricane, but what is left of Melissa here. It's still is a Cat 1. You know, those winds are still there. Now, like we mentioned here before, y'all, we're definitely going to be experiencing some pretty big and nasty waves out here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up the models here for you guys to kind of show you all like kind of what we're going to be talking about here. So this is the GFS weather model here. So this is the American GFS. Now, here, let me properly fix this to the screen. Here we go. Okay, so if I was to move to the North Atlantic, you know, kind of where the storm is now, we hop over to the significant wave height. You can see just how big, you know, these waves are actually, you know, are in size. Now, you guys can't see that table there, but out there by Bermuda right now, where it's estimated that we're probably seeing anywhere from 20 to 30 foot waves out here right now, which is just absolutely ridiculous here. You know, definitely seeing quite a bit of nasty waves. Now, like I mentioned, these are actually going to continue. If we work our way down in time, you can see that these waves are actually going to continue to go northeast, and believe it or not, actually impacting the United States northeast coast here quite a bit, actually. So, but yeah, so like I mentioned, that's that. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye out there for that. Yeah, like I said, we're also going to watch out for like Nova Scotia and you know, Newfoundland there. We'll definitely keep an eye out there for you guys. But anyway, so that's that. Let me try to radar. Let's see. I know Bermuda has a radar. We can see if we can pull up here. Bermuda Weather Service. Let's see. We'll go ahead and bring up their radar site here. See what the latest radar looks like. Here you go. So that's the latest radar view. Apparently, SRI is unavailable. But yeah, you can see out of the view here that, you know, most of the precipitation is to the north. You know, that's actually the good thing, is that the system is not going to be as big of an issue rain-wise as it was for some of these other areas. You know, out there by like Bermuda, you know, Dominican Republic, Haiti, even Cuba, you know, Jamaica. Definitely not as significant, you know, out there in Bermuda as it is. Did I say Bermuda by accident? But yeah, it's not going to be as big of a problem in Bermuda. Actually, matter of fact, the Hurricane Center, the WPC, they actually removed the flooding map here. Yeah, because we're just really not going to be seeing a whole lot out here. So here's actually the history, y'all, of Melissa. You know, so the red indicating those hurricane force winds, the yellow there indicating those tropical storm force winds. So you can see that the system developed here out there just north of Aruba, basically. It continued to go westward, you know, as a tropical storm here. It did slow down. It moved to the north a little bit, then continued moving west, and it became a hurricane just south of Cuba, southeast of Jamaica here. And it continued going westward, you know, picking up rapid development. I mean, it's, like I said, going from like tropical storm to Category 3 within like a day, which was pretty crazy. Then it continued going westward, and then we had this front, this cold front, come off of the United States southeast coast here, pushing eastward, or kind of southeastward, which has allowed the storm to get kind of caught up ahead of the front, because, you know, winds ahead of the front are perpendicular. So let me actually show you guys what I'm talking about here. So we have the cold front here. You know, you got a lot of the cooler air mass building in from the backside. Now, ahead of cold fronts, actually the winds go perpendicular to the winds behind them, or actually parallel to, you know, the front itself. So what has allowed to happen is, you know, the system kind of got caught up in that wind, you know, ahead of the front here, which has allowed the storm to steer and go right over Jamaica. If it wasn't for that front, you know, like I mentioned, honestly, it's if it wasn't for that front, then Jamaica would have been spared here. But anyways, so yeah, it just continued going to the north here. It went right through West Jamaica, hurricane force winds, and it went through eastern Cuba. There overall. What's up, Caleb? Let's see, I'll donate if you can recite the first 12 words of Paranoid by Black Sabbath. Dude, I don't honestly know. Believe it or not, though, I do have Paranoid by Black Sabbath in my, let's see here, in my playlist here. But I can't play it, obviously. Yeah, you got me there, man. I'm not too sure. I'm not the best with lyrics, but anyway, so yeah, after the storm hit eastern Cuba, went through the Bahamas, and like I said, now it's affecting Bermuda out there. So, but like I mentioned, on sat view, it's kind of falling apart. It really doesn't look like anything significant. But let me tell you though, those winds are still definitely pretty strong. And once again from the Hurricane Center, they just mentioned here. They just mentioned, let's see here, hurricane force wind gusts reported on Bermuda as Melissa makes its closest approach here. So the latest Mesonet data we have, the latest weather station information. This is actually the airport up in northern Bermuda here. Let's see, so this was as of an hour ago. They reported wind speeds of 41 miles per hour. But yeah, earlier they apparently reported hurricane force winds, which that means those winds have had to have been 75 miles an hour or greater. So that's when hurricane force comes in. Let's see here. Caleb says thanks for acknowledging it. No problem, dude. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. But yeah, so at some point they've recorded those winds out there, 75 miles an hour or greater, which is definitely quite significant. But at this point in time, the storm is at its closest approach that it will be to Bermuda. And looking over here now at the current estimated wind field of Melissa, you guys can see, so the red area here, this little red circle that you're looking at, this is where those hurricane force sustained winds are currently estimated to be, in which you can see, that little speck there. There's Bermuda, and of course, the yellow area here. This is that tropical storm force estimated wind field. Where the tropical storm force winds are estimated to be, which ranges winds from 39 to 74 miles per hour. So that's tropical storm force, 39 to 74 miles an hour. So Bermuda right now is in those sustained tropical storm force winds here. Right now, likely sustaining about 40, 50 miles an hour, and we're gusting likely upwards of 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour. Which, once again, like I said, the Hurricane Center, they did say that there has been confirmed wind gusts up to hurricane strength in Bermuda already, even though the sustained winds is not over them directly currently. So anyways, but yeah, so that's the current info on there. Here, let's hop back to the cone here. I'm going to show you guys. So the cone and the future cast here, the system has definitely picked up a really fast forward moving speed. Right now the storm is moving northeast at a whopping 40 miles per hour. So the storm is moving very quick. Before the system hit, Jamaica, it was only moving at 2 miles per hour, which you could literally do a fast walk and you could outrun the storm on foot. Now you would need a car to be able to outrun the storm here. Going 40 miles an hour, which is actually really fast for tropical storm and tropical cyclone movement here. It's pretty crazy. And like I said, right now we're sustaining winds here. So towards the core, where the strongest winds are in the center, we're sustaining about 90 mile an hour winds right now, gusting likely upwards of 110 to, about 100 to 110. Wind gusts, what the winds could actually peak up for a brief period of time here overall. So that's kind of what we're looking at there for wind gusts. And like I said, the pressure right now, we're down to 973 millibars, which, that's actually gone up a bit too, as expected. As the storm weakens, the pressure increases. As the storm strengthens, the pressure decreases. And the reason being is because towards the center of the storm, in a strong system, there's a lot of vertical velocity. A lot of air that's coming from the ground shooting up into the air, which lowers the pressure at the surface there overall. So, because of that upwards moving air, it's lifting off air molecules from the surface, which lowers the pressure. And whenever you have a weaker storm, the vertical velocities are actually somewhat weaker, which allows gravity to pull the air back down and increase, the overall density of the air, which essentially increases the pressure, which is kind of what we're seeing now. That the storm is rolling into cooler waters. It's dealing with some wind shear, kind of acting against the storm. It's it's definitely weakening because of that. So, anyways, but yeah, that's the current movement. But yeah, here to future cast, like I said, we're definitely going to need to watch out for it. Still, unfortunately, because it's going to have a pretty close call to eastern Newfoundland here, which we're likely going to be dealing with, quite a bit of nasty conditions out there as well. One of the big things is being rough seas. We're likely going to get some pretty nasty swells out there, some pretty rough conditions going on out there. And not to mention the winds, will definitely likely be pretty active here as well. So one thing I do want to do with you guys is I want to take a look at the models, which we'll go ahead and do right now. Let's go ahead and bring up these weather models here. And we're going to go ahead and look at the wind field. We'll go ahead and see. Actually, you know what? Let's bring up the hurricane model. We'll bring up the HWRF on Melissa. And we'll go ahead and add sea surface. We'll add the 10-meter wind speeds here. So this is sustained winds, pretty much. This is before we hit, before we got to the closest approach of Bermuda. So this was ran before then. So right now the current time is about 2 a.m. So this is kind of where we're at right now, according to what the HWRF was presenting. And like I mentioned, yeah, we're sustaining about 50-mile-an-hour winds right now. Definitely very strong still. I mean, even 50-mile-an-hour sustained winds can absolutely cause damage. But you got to remember these wind gusts, they're a bit higher, at this point in time here. And, once you work your way closer to the core here, the winds do become definitely a lot stronger. Now, the wind field, as you can kind of see, is pretty lopsided. Given the storm's structure right now, it's not really, it's not really too much intact as it used to be. But it's, like I said, don't get it wrong. It's still a very strong storm here, even though it doesn't look like it. I mean, satellite view, you can see it just looks like a bunch of broken up storms here, which, kind of is. But there's not a whole lot of convection going on to be able to sustain its strength because of the cooler waters. And stuff like that. So, and of course, the wind shear is kind of preventing the storm from, getting its structure back, together. So it's just, at this point in time, it's just kind of losing it. But anyway, so we work our way down in time here. Like I mentioned, we're going to get pretty darn close to eastern Newfoundland here. Now, the good news is that a lot of the strongest winds will actually be just off the shore here. According to HWRF, it looks like we're going to be possibly sustaining maybe about 40 miles an hour at some point, 30, 40 miles an hour out here along the eastern coast of Newfoundland. Once again, these are going to be producing some higher wind gusts. We're likely going to be seeing some gusts, possibly more upwards towards like 50 miles an hour or so, which, isn't anything significant. But one of the things is, like we mentioned, though, that's a really big concern is actually the sheer wave height. While the winds are actually going to be a bit lower, or not as strong, I should say, as they are like towards Bermuda and the other places it impacted. The waves are going to be absolutely huge, which let's actually look at that here right now. We'll go ahead and bring you guys over here back to, let's do the North Atlantic view. Yeah, this is the closest view we can actually get to it. That allows me to look at the wave height here. But yeah, you can see, just how big these waves are as we approach Bermuda right now. So right now we're at about 25, maybe 30, 30-foot waves out there kind of by western Bermuda, just off the coast of West Bermuda, which is pretty crazy. And then like we mentioned here, as the system continues to pull to the northeast, those waves are going to get really nasty out here. Not just for, eastern Newfoundland, but also, like Nova Scotia, even the northeastern, the northeastern United States is going to be dealing with some pretty big waves, just off the coast. So if any of you guys are boaters, if any of you guys frequently go fishing out in those waters, or if you're, going to be traveling through these areas here over the next couple of days, just know that it's going to be pretty rough out there. It looks like it's really going to start to clear up for the U.S. Right around November 2nd. So between today being Halloween and tomorrow, it's going to be pretty rough out there. It'll clear up out there by like Newfoundland by right around November 3rd or 4th. So it's going to take a little bit of time for those waves to calm down a bit. But yeah, they're definitely going to get pretty significant. Once again, even for Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, and of course, the northeastern United States. So we'll definitely be looking out there for that. Now, the wave heights just off the coast of Nova Scotia, according to GFS, could get up to right around 20 foot or greater, which, yeah, definitely is quite significant, and definitely some pretty big waves. What's up, Scott? Saying hi, Andrew, and everyone else. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing good. But, yeah, this is the latest radar view. I know it's kind of warped. I don't know why. The latest radar view here in Bermuda. You can see right there, my cursor, that's Bermuda. So a lot of the rain is, north of Bermuda. The thing is that the storm at this point is kind of broken up. And actually, one of the things that's really influencing the storm right now is drier air. So, we have a lot of drier air also getting into the storm. So not only is the waters cooler out here, not only is the wind shear, the wind's pushing against the storm increasing, which is, disrupting its structure, but also the dry air is really getting into that storm here as well. I wonder if we can actually really see that on satellite view. So let's, we can already see that there is some dry air getting into it because there's a bunch of broken spots in between these convection here. But, if we bring up another satellite view, let's do the lower level water vapor scan. Okay, yeah, you can really actually see that dry air intrusion really starting to kind of get to the storm here. So basically, on the backside, we have a lot of this really dry air coming into the storm here, which is, really allowing that storm to dry up quite a bit, which, that's actually coming to save here for Bermuda. While Bermuda's still getting those strong winds, those really, really strong winds and those high seas out there, they're not really dealing with much of a flooding concern. Matter of fact, they're not going to really even see much rainfall just because of the sheer amount of dry air that's starting to really get into that storm, which is, drying things up and, really preventing convection or the thunderstorm activity within these systems to, occur. It's definitely stunting that growth here. But, like I said, it's kind of a mixture of all three things, the really cool waters out there that it's starting to roll into, which I'll go ahead and show you guys that as well. If we actually bring you guys over here to those sea surface temperatures, the region in which the storm is at right now is pretty cool. So you guys can see right there, that's Bermuda. That little V right here, that is that little speck there. That's Bermuda. So the water is out here where the storm is at is about 24 degrees Celsius. Now for tropical development, that's pretty cold. Typically, for sustaining tropical activity or strengthening into tropical activity, you need those sea surface temperatures of at least 26 degrees Celsius. Now, as we approach through, the Caribbean, earlier, the reason why, also, or one of the reasons why it really kicked up is because of how warm these waters are. Out there by Jamaica, they were like 29. They were actually about 30 degrees Celsius before the storm happened. But, comparing to that now, where the storm is at, like over here, just kind of northeast or northwest of Bermuda here, we're about 24 Celsius, which is just under that 26 degree threshold for, development and sustaining tropical activity. So, like we mentioned, that's one of the problems. The other problem, like we talked about here, is the dry air. You can see here on the satellite view, all this orange and red. That is indicating a lot of dry air. There's a lot of dry air kind of getting in between these storms here too, which is just kind of getting in that system and just kind of ripping it apart. Or kind of, the wind shear is ripping it apart, but the dry air is kind of drying out everything, preventing more thunderstorm activity from really flaring up, really lowering it essentially because it's running out of that moisture. A lot of the moisture right now is actually on the northern side of the storm. It's still holding a bit of moisture, but like we mentioned, that dry air is really definitely starting to get to it. But anyway, so Hopping back over here to the Hurricane Center. So right now, this is the current, whenever this thing loads, this is the current estimated wind field here in regard to the estimated tropical storm force and the estimated hurricane force wind. So at this point in time, so here you go. You guys can see this little red blob here. So this right in here, this is where the hurricane force winds are sustained, which means constant. So basically, this little red area here is where we're likely seeing, or where the estimated hurricane force winds are, which ranges 75 miles per hour and greater. Like we mentioned, the current strength of the storm here has sustained winds of about 90 miles an hour towards the core, which we're gusting still likely over about 100 miles an hour. We're likely gusting upwards of about 100 to about 110. And you can see that that is just north of Bermuda. So Bermuda is actually outside of the sustained hurricane force winds, meaning that they're out of the hurricane force winds altogether. So right now they're not seeing any sustained or constant winds that are in hurricane strength. However, there has been reports of gusts, directly from the Hurricane Center, saying that there has been reported hurricane wind gusts, so what the winds have actually peaked up to, have gotten to hurricane strength out there. So, but then you can see the yellow blob here, the yellow circle. This is where those tropical storm force winds are estimated to be, where the winds basically 39 miles an hour sustained to 74 is within the yellow here. And so Bermuda currently is sustaining winds. Right now Bermuda is currently sustaining winds of about 50 miles per hour, which, doesn't seem like a whole lot, but, 50-mile-an-hour winds can absolutely still cause some issues. Not to mention, like we mentioned, the wind gusts are actually higher. So we're likely still seeing some wind gusts likely upwards of 60, maybe 70 miles per hour right now. So it's definitely still pretty heavy out there regarding that. But the current information on the storm here for the people who just now joining, or if you just want to know, so right now the storm is currently sustaining 90 mile per hour winds. So once again, towards the core, we're sustaining constant winds of about 90 miles an hour towards the center of the system, in which, once again, gusts of about 100 to maybe 110 is occurring within that system here overall. So central low has definitely increased, over the last couple days because of the weakening that we've been dealing with here. The pressure is down to 973 millibars. A storm is moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. It's picked up a lot of speed. So northeast at 40 miles per hour here. So the storm is definitely moving quite a bit out there. But, so that's the current data, or the current information there on that storm. But like I said, it's not looking so hot. This is going to be one of the last times we talk about Melissa. But like I mentioned, we are also probably going to do some coverage for eastern Newfoundland. That'll be the final time we talk about Melissa. Will be the next. Well, I don't know about the next live stream. Let's see. The approach is going to be later this evening. Okay. So then, yeah, the last time we'll talk about this storm will probably be in the next live stream here. But just because of how fast the storm's moving, I mean, it's covering a lot of ground in a short period of time. Let's see. What's up, Enlightened? Good to see you, my friend. I hope that you are doing well. What's up, Beam? Good to see ya. Saying, hey, Andrew. Welcome back, my friend. Hope you're doing good. And by the way, guys, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. That way I can continue to keep you guys up to weather update. What? Can I even English? So I can continue to keep you guys up to date with the weather. There we go. What's up, Zachary? Good to see you, man. See any future storms coming into models? As of now, I do not see any systems here. We'll even look at the models here. We'll give you guys a little bit more of an in-depth future view of things. So let's go to the North Atlantic. Yeah, typically around this time, things do start to slow down a bit in the tropics. I tell you what, man, other than Melissa, this year has not been very active in terms of direct landfalls for the United States. I don't even think we haven't had a single hurricane landfall in the United States this year, which in general, that's pretty darn rare. I mean, that's not very common that you really see that happen. But looking into future models here, here's the GFS. We go down in time. So first of all, there's Melissa right here. We also have the other low across the northeastern U.S. that's expected to really blow up in strength. Now, this is actually going to be a problem for the Northeast. Is we're going to get some really, really strong winds here across the northeastern United States. We'll get to that here in a few moments. But we work our way further down in time. Honestly, the GFS really doesn't show any other waves, at least within reasonable time frame, because now we're approaching about 180 hours out, which is about as far as I like to look. Some people like to go further, but at this point in time, things become a little bit uncertain and a little bit inaccurate here. So GFS, GFS doesn't really suggest anything. Comparing with the Euro, the ECMWF, one of the other main global models here, honestly really doesn't show a lot of activity here in the tropics. So yeah, other than Melissa, it's pretty quiet afterwards. So we're not really seeing any more activity, thankfully, because we definitely don't want any more of that. What's up, Lou? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. But anyway, so that's that in the models here. Now, like I was mentioning, what I do want to look at with you guys, hopping back to the models here, I do want to look at the winds across the Northeast. Like I mentioned, we're going to be definitely dealing with quite a bit of strong winds. I noticed because of that pressure gradient we have out there. So basically, the pressure is changing rapidly across the Northeast. Here, I'll even overlay the pressure here for you guys, kind of show you. And we'll also add up the, we'll also do the wind gusts here too. But you all see those lines? So these are what we call isobars, which represent a line of equal pressure, in which, the closer they are together, it means that the pressure is dropping off more over a short period of time or a short distance. So looking at the accumulated wind gusts here, so this is the American GFS model, you can actually see, we're going to get pretty gusty up across the Northeast here. The model, the GFS showing like New York State out there, kind of near Albany, getting gusts of about 50 miles an hour here. We have Massachusetts, dealing about 40, 50 mile an hour winds. It seems like a lot of the Northeast is going to be, gusting about 40 miles per hour. Definitely pretty strong. Yeah, like I said, the reason that I noticed this is because of those pressure gradients that we have out there. Those lines. Pretty steep here overall. But anyways, so that's that. Like we mentioned here also to my folks across Nova Scotia, we're going to have to watch out pretty closely because you guys are going to get hit pretty good by some winds, actually. It looks like we're going to be gusting about 60, maybe upwards of 65 according to the American GFS, which that's kind of around mid-level tropical storm force. Actually, kind of mid-upper level tropical storm force here. So let's see, Lou says check South Carolina, USA. All right, I could look at South Carolina. So South Carolina, you guys could get some gusty winds over the next little bit. Actually, it shows those happening about now. Which it did show a bit of gusty winds out there. But yeah, you guys are going to be mostly out of the craziness. Yeah, y'all ain't going to be dealing with any of the craziness from Melissa or that other low up across the Northeast here. So, but you guys can see where the track of Melissa is going here. Definitely going to get pretty windy out there for a lot of places. But like I was saying, we definitely do need the Northeast U.S. to watch out because those winds are going to be pretty gusty. Not to mention the waves out there we talked about, which the models do suggest to be pretty great here. Actually, I'll go ahead and bring those up again and show you guys here. Just in terms of the waves, we're definitely going to be dealing with some pretty rough seas out there. Here, we'll go ahead and bring you guys lower dynamics, surface, or significant wave height here. So, yeah, with time, you can see that those waves are going to get pretty aggressive out there just off the coast here of Nova Scotia. Even the United States, the Northeast U.S., we're going to get some pretty rough seas out here, in which we're going to be seeing just off the coast of the Northeast, possibly some waves of about 15 to 20 foot, according to GFS. And, of course, just off the coast of Nova Scotia, about 20 to maybe 25 foot waves. Pretty aggressive. In which also out there by eastern Newfoundland here too, we'll definitely be picking up quite a bit of, quite a bit as well. So definitely got to look out there for the waves here. Not just the winds. The winds aren't going to be nearly as significant as some of these other areas experienced here in the past, but still, enough to cause some problems. Lou says yes, thanks. Yeah, no problem. No problem. Here, let me actually check up on the severe weather real quickly, y'all. I do want to see what's going on out here. Actually, we don't really have anything going on severe weather-wise here overall. So we're looking pretty good. Oh, man, I hate it when you have a sneeze coming, but then it just doesn't come out. But, yeah, severe weather-wise, we're looking actually okay. So we don't have anything crazy going on in the States here. Let's see here. Luke says, I just got blown out of my cruise ship. Let's see here. Using Starlink, I should be okay from Newfoundland. Yeah, Newfoundland, the winds aren't going to be as significant. I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean you got blown out, but... Oh, wait a minute. So you were supposed to go on a cruise. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking you literally got blown out on a cruise ship. I'm like, wait, what? Yeah, unfortunately, the system will really cause problems for people who are cruising and stuff. But, the cruise lines, they also know to go around these storms or just altogether cancel the trip because of rough weather and stuff. But, yeah, I mean, Newfoundland, you guys are definitely going to be getting some pretty aggressive winds out here, though. I mean, we're going to be gusting inland of about maybe 30, 40 miles an hour, which, isn't anything super significant. It is enough to cause, some branches and maybe some trees to come down and stuff like that. But off the coast, though, that's where it gets a little bit more significant potentially. GFS shows quite a bit of strong winds just off the eastern coast of you guys, about 60 or so miles an hour. Let me compare that with with Euro, the European model. It's good to compare models. It's never good to just look at one model. Wow. You know what? The Euro is actually a bit different. Hold on. Actually showing the northeastern United States getting a lot of really strong winds off the coast. So off the coast of Long Island here, showing about upper 50s, maybe mid 60s. So we're talking like 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts out there. Out there by the Cape Cod area here, possibly about 60 mile an hour wind gusts. Definitely going to get pretty strong out there. Wow. Yeah, off the coast, it gets pretty significant. Yeah, off of Nova Scotia there as well. Definitely dealing with quite a bit of strong wind gusts here. You can see the main trail of the strongest winds here from that system, which is just absolutely pretty crazy. Yeah. So, like I mentioned here, right about where we're at now, we're likely gusting about 110 or so currently at the position we're at right now, which, hopping back to the current satellite view, you guys can see, the system doesn't really look very healthy right now. Definitely does not look like it used to. It's just a big blob essentially right now. So we do have a lot of that drier air starting to get into the storm here, which is preventing the convection, the thunderstorm activity from continuing essentially. You really want a really moisture-filled environment, which we did have earlier, but dry air starting to kind of break that up, which is really preventing those storms from refiring off here. And of course, we have really strong wind shear, so really strong winds pushing against the storm. That's not a part of the system, which is disrupting the storm structure and preventing it from reorganizing itself essentially. And then another thing like we talked about was how cold those waters are. I mean, definitely those waters are pretty cool out there at the point where we're at now. Actually, we'll go ahead and bring that up again for you guys to kind of show you all what we're talking about here. So let's bring this back up. But yeah, like I mentioned before, I mean, typically you do want those sea surface temperatures, so those temperatures on the surface of the water, to be about 26 degrees Celsius or greater to sustain and develop tropical activity. So the problem is that where the storm is now is that these waters, you can see there's Bermuda right there. That little dot there, that's Bermuda. So the thing is that the storm's right in here at the moment. So we're in about 24 degrees Celsius waters, which is actually too cool for tropical activity here. So with that being said, it's a little bit cold for tropical activity here at this point, with those sea surface temperatures. On top of that, we have those strong winds pushing against the storm, which is, kind of ripping apart the system's structure. And then, of course, the dry air that's definitely starting to get into the storm here, which is, slowing down the convection or the thunderstorm activity within the storm here. What's up, Donald? Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, so that's what we got going on here. Like I said, right now it just doesn't really look too hot, but with regardless of how it looks right now, I mean, it is still a hurricane, believe it or not. It is still pretty strong too. I mean, it's not a weak storm by any means. I mean, right now we are still sustaining 90-mile-an-hour winds. So out there by the core, by the center of the storm, the constant winds right now is about 90 miles per hour. And of course, our gusts at this point in time we looked at is about 100 to 110 miles per hour. Pressure has gone up a bit, so like we mentioned before, increasing pressure means a weakening storm. Decreasing pressure means a strengthening storm. And like I mentioned, it's because stronger storms have a stronger vertical velocity. So air going from the bottom or towards the ground to up in the atmosphere. So towards the center, there's a lot of strong vertical velocity, in which is taking the air off the ground. All those, all the air that's on the ground is taking that air and shooting it up into the environment, lowering the pressure, lifting the amount of air molecules that's on the ground, and lowering the pressure. Now, during a weakening storm, the pressure increases because gravity's starting to overtake it again. Gravity's starting to overtake the vertical velocity, which is increasing the amount of air molecules that is on the ground, and increasing the pressure, because the storm just can't continue to hold up, lifting all of that air from the ground into the upper environment. So, but yeah, pressure right now is 973 millibars here. The storm is moving northeast at 40 miles per hour. So it's definitely picked up some pretty fast forward motion here. I mean, the storm it's a moving. It's definitely picked up quite a bit of quite a bit of strength out there, not strength, but movement, I should say. But yeah, it's definitely been on a weakening trend here for the last little bit. Now, here's the current radar image up here in Jamaica. Or, not Jamaica. Gosh, I'm so used to talking about Jamaica ever since the coverage we did. Sorry, this is a current view of Bermuda. This is well past Jamaica at this point. But you guys can see, so there's Bermuda. And all the rain here, this is the radar showing all that rain up to the north for the most part. Very broken to the north. So yeah, Bermuda is not really under a problem for rainfall, because we're just not really seeing a whole lot out there. But they do have their own problems, like we mentioned. Those rough seas, likely 25 to 30 foot waves out there, pretty aggressive. And on top of that, like we mentioned here, also seeing some pretty strong winds and stuff like that there as well. So, anyways, but. Let's see here. So I do want to hop you guys back over here to the Hurricane Center real quickly. I'm honestly probably, that's SPC. We're probably going to roll off here pretty soon. I'm going to go ahead and conclude my coverage here very soon. But I just wanted to hop on here for a little bit, kind of give you all an update and do a little bit of coverage on the system here. But, like I said, at this point in time, it's pulling away from Bermuda. I mean, it is still, a bit of an issue out there at the current moment, but it's definitely conditions are starting to improve ever so slightly out there. But like I mentioned here, this is the current wind field of the storm here. We have the red area. This is where the hurricane force winds, so those sustained winds of 75 miles an hour or greater, is within the red here. So that's where the hurricane force winds are at. Then, of course, we have the yellow. That's where the sustained tropical storm force winds, which is 39 to 74 miles an hour, sustained, is currently at here. So you can see Bermuda, they're just inside of the middle portion of those tropical storm force winds. Like we mentioned, right now they're gusting or they're sustaining about 40, 50 miles an hour right now, and we're gusting upwards of probably 60, maybe 70 overall. But anyway, so that's that. Enlighten says, Andrew, you are such a great weather teacher. I have learned a lot from your explanations of all aspects of weather systems. Keep up the great coverage. Well, thank you, Enlighten. That's really sweet of you. I'm glad I can help. I'm glad I can help explain things. As sometimes people like to know what's going on, behind the storm, in which I definitely like to kind of try to explain things. I might not be the best teacher out there, but I appreciate your comment, though. That's really, really, really nice of you, my friend. But anyway, so that's that. Once again, here's actually the wind history, kind of what we just looked at as a cumulative, essentially. So, the system, we picked up tropical storm force just above Aruba, basically. We worked our way westward, then we went a little bit northwestward, slowed down a bit as we approached Jamaica. We passed just south of Jamaica, rapidly intensified, little wind shear environment, very warm waters, tons of moisture. I mean, literally prime breeding ground for tropical cyclones. In which it was in, and it rapidly strengthened into a Category 5, even a major upper-level Category 5. And then, of course, it went through western Jamaica, eastern Cuba, the Bahamas. So, yeah, that's where the sustained hurricane force winds are at. And, of course, we do have the sustained tropical storm force here that were in the yellow. So that's the path of which the storm did take. So absolutely quite a beast of a storm. And like we mentioned, the system's not over yet, technically speaking, because we do have a little bit more coverage that's going to be needed. Oops, let me bring back up my other view here. So obviously, at this point in time, it's pulling away from Bermuda, but it's not completely over yet because, we got to watch out for eastern Newfoundland here. We could have some pretty big concerns with impacts, big waves, strong winds, stuff like that, which we'll have to, definitely look out there for. But we'll definitely keep you guys informed, and we'll keep you guys up to date here. So, yeah, we'll go live again later tomorrow, or actually probably later tonight. Let's see here, because the Hurricane Center has the storm approaching by the evening today and the morning of the 1st. So we'll be live here later on this evening for you guys, more than likely. So we'll be able to give you guys some more information and a little bit more coverage out there for like eastern Newfoundland and stuff like that. So what's up, Jeff? Good to see you. Jeff, it kind of does, doesn't it? But anyways, yeah, like I said, you guys, just be sure to, if you have any questions, just be sure to let me know in the comments. I'll be more than happy to let you know. But yeah, it does look like a boot, doesn't it? that's kind of funny. But yeah, if you guys have any comments or any questions before I roll off here, go ahead and throw them down the chat. I'll be here to answer some questions before we head off here. But yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and conclude our coverage here. Because conditions, they're still tropical storm force, but they're starting to improve out there. We're kind of in the mid-lower in tropical storm force winds at the moment out there by Bermuda. So they were a little bit worse earlier, but they're starting to improve a bit. And like I said, we'll give you more updates later on this evening. By the way, happy Halloween to you guys. I did mention it earlier, but for the new people that are here, I just want to say happy Halloween to you guys. I hope you all get tons of candy. Hope you all have tons of fun. And all that stuff. You're very welcome, Sonia. No problem. I don't know if I already said that or not, but I appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. But yeah, like I said, any final questions you guys might have, go ahead and let us know in the comments. If not, then we'll go ahead and roll off here. Now, like I mentioned, for the U.S., for the mainland U.S., I just actually looked here a little bit ago. We don't have anything really crazy going on here. We have... the northeastern U.S. is actually going to get impacted by this system, believe it or not, in terms of big waves. Actually, it's more of the system that's driving Melissa north. It's what's going to give the U.S. a bit of big waves and some strong winds across the coastal areas. But in terms of like severe weather and stuff, we're really not seeing a whole lot of activity. In severe weather land, we got no risk of severe weather for the next 8 days, so we're looking pretty good in terms of that here. So let's see here. Enlighten says you too, Andrew. Thank you, I appreciate that. Appreciate it. But all right, buddy. Well, thank you all so much for joining. You guys enjoy your rest of your day or night or whatever time it is for you. It's night here, but I hope you guys take care. And let's see here. Frost advisory for North Georgia. Really? I know it's getting pretty cold. Here, let me look at that, and then we'll roll off here. I know it's definitely been getting pretty cold. It's actually cold here in Florida right now. I'm in Central Florida. I'm here in Polk County, so I'm in this part of Florida right here. It is cold, y'all. Like, literally here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my weather station real quickly. It's my Mesonet here. We'll bring up stations, my Lakeland station here. So, yeah, look at the temperature outside right now. Oh. It's 54 degrees out where I'm at right now in central Florida. That's cold for us. Very, very cold. Dew point's 50. Yeah, definitely just too cold for us. I can't handle the cold like I used to. But yeah, let's look at the frost advisory real quickly, and then we'll go ahead and call it a stream here. Yep. So there you go. So yeah, that includes Atlanta. Yep, Atlanta's in that frost advisory. Let's see. We got some freeze watches also for some of those upper elevations in western North Carolina. Freeze watches throughout central Missouri too. Hey man, I mean it's that time of the year. It's fall, y'all. So gotta be ready for it. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining. Y'all, please have a wonderful rest of your day or evening or morning or whatever time it is for you. I just want to say thank you all for the support. You guys are amazing. If you're new here, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. Let's see, it's 46 here near Athens. Yeah, it's pretty cold, man. Like I said, us in Florida, we can't handle the cold, especially, like I mentioned before. I grew up in Virginia. I lived there about 19 years, and then I lived in Kentucky for about 2 years, and I lived here in Florida for over 2 years. And the last 3 winters, even when I lived in Kentucky, I was down here the entire winter. I think it was of 22 or 23. Had to have been 22. But I've been here. This is my 4th winter I'm going up onto. And I have not seen snow in about 4 years. I've been down in Florida during the entire winter. So I have been completely acclimated to the weather down here, in which, yeah, this is just too cold for me anymore. It's crazy. You might call me a wuss for it, but you know what? I can handle the heat a lot better. That's something I can. You really adjust to the climate. See, 39 degrees in Marysville, Washington. Ooh, yeah, no thanks. 42 in southwest suburbs of Chicago. Wow. Yeah, definitely cooling down quite a bit. But all right, everybody. Well, thank you all so much for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day or night. Like I said, whatever time it is for you. And we'll be sure to hop back on here later on this evening. Probably do some coverage for Eastern Newfoundland here. At least give you guys an update on what's going on with the system. But yeah, the next live stream will probably be the last time we actually talk about the system here. As from that point on, it's going to be going well far up into the North Atlantic here. So, it'll definitely, it'll definitely go well out of the way at this point. So it's almost over. But the worst has definitely been over with for sure. I mean, yeah, Jamaica got absolutely hammered, unfortunately. Then also Cuba got really hit hard too. Even the Bahamas, from what I hear, got hit pretty good. And of course, Bermuda did report hurricane force wind gusts. So it's been pretty nasty with that system. But all right, everybody. Well, you guys take care. If you're new here, consider subscribing, leaving a like. It'll be greatly appreciated. You guys have a great rest of your day, night. And all right, everybody. Y'all take care. We'll see you guys here in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.